Hello, hello.
And welcome to our special episode, part 2 of the Lume Plotters. We are we came back
again.
just for you guys.
2 weeks
we
later.
came back to Dubai Mall so that we could finish the second part of the mall walk.
Yeah.
In part 1 on Tuesday, you were able to listen to the main area of Dubai Mall that has all the watch shops.
Yeah.
Well, there's a second area. So we decided that we should come back and walk you through that area as well, just so you have a complete picture of what goes on in Dubai Mall.
Exactly.
It is the largest mall in the world, after all.
Yeah, I guess so. And this is the new extension, 3 or 4 years old, the Fashion Avenue, which starts at a big fashion dome. So we have a Cipriani Dolci coffee shop. I'm drinking a coffee, but not from there. On all of these, of course, high-end brands or big
Fendi, Chanel, Louis Vuitton, Armani,
Gucci,
exactly,
and so on and so on. And they all Loro Piana, right? They all have their shops here, in addition to the shops that they have in the main mall as well.
Yes.
So some of these fashion or luxury brands like Chanel or Louis Vuitton or others, they have, let's say, as an example, Dior. Dior has probably, 5 shops here in this mall. They have one for shoes, they have 2 or 3 for fashion, and then they have one for just their perfumes, and then they have one for their Gris de Dior super perfumes or whatever. So it's crazy of how many of these brand shops you can actually find in this mall.
So for instance, Louis Vuitton has 2 main shops that I'm aware of. Who is it? Rolex has 2 main shops.
Yep.
Cartier has 2 main shops. And these, once again, when we say main shops, big shops, these are larger than your average that you would find on a Parisian walking street.
I mean, the Cartier boutique that we have just been to actually get something for Martin's wife has how many floors?
3 floors, I believe it was. It was a mezzanine. It was 3 regular floors. So a ground, a first, and a mezzanine. And this is the satellite store. This is the second store in the thing. And I had no idea this existed until about a week ago. So this is the kind of stuff that we often find in Dubai Mall is you have no idea this is even there. Until somebody tells you.
And if you look at the...
And you can't find it. It's so hidden, by the way. It's in a corner.
Yeah, because it's around the corner. You really have to look for it.
Yeah.
But it's, you have a 3-story Hermes store. You have a 3-story Rolex store. All of these flagship stores there in the Rotunda, which we will go later.
And it's a pain to get to as well.
Yeah.
So there's no direct access.
Well, the valet parking of Fashion Avenue is directly...
Ooh, too fancy for me. No, I park my own car. Thank you very much. But one other thing for you to mention is that people often don't forget, living in Dubai, if we were in America, if we were in Europe, how much would we have paid to park today?
Yeah, well, I think the bigger shopping malls outside the city centers are still free for parking.
Outside. We're smack in downtown Dubai right now.
Well, I can give you an example of one big city where I think the highest parking fee I've ever paid was about 50 euros a day.
Yeah, exactly. And this is kind of what's amazing here is we parked for free all day. From I think 10 to 10 roughly, actually even more, 10 to like 2 in the morning. You could park there for free.
Yeah.
And a lot of people do this, by the way. They park their car here because there's a metro station up to the metro and go to other places.
Which is, of course, not necessarily something that the mall wants to. They want to keep their parking spaces for shoppers.
Yes, but I mean, there's so much parking. It's absolutely astounding how much parking there is in this mall.
Yeah. And it's so complicated, the parking, that there's still people missing that actually entered the car park 10 years ago.
Exactly. No idea where they went. There's skeletons lying around. But I have gotten lost. I got lost last time we were here in parking. Just because I was on the wrong floor and I forgot. But ignoring that.
We done a few times. I think it's now much better, but in the beginning it was a bit...
Yeah. Rule of thumb, you find a spot you like and you continue to park in that one spot and you will always find
because
it.
you know your way in and out.
Exactly.
It's like the breadcrumbs,
Don't try new things in this mall. All right, so let's get started. Let's talk about what we see, and we're going to walk you through.
Let's quickly check what we have on your wrist.
Oh, yes, because it is a different day. I am wearing my Rolex Submariner 114060, the previous generation ceramic, no-date Submariner.
Nice. Very nice one.
And what about yourself? I see a Zenith.
Yes, I am wearing a Zenith Zenith El Primero DeFi 21.
With the high beat movement?
Yes, it has a 36,000 vibrations per hour movement for the time, and a 360,000 vibrations per hour movement for the chronograph.
So the chronograph spins.
Yeah, the second hand goes around the entire display once a second.
Yeah.
So you can measure quick. 1/100th of a second with this one. But there's two movements inside, and this power reserve indicator on the top at 12 o'clock actually shows the power reserve for the chronograph. Chronograph only has 30 minutes of power.
All right.
And you charge it with the crown upwards, you charge the chronograph.
And downwards is the movement for the
charge
time.
movement. It's also
Very
automatic, but automatic only works for the normal movement, not for
Very
the
cool.
And
so theoretically, you could have no power for the chronograph, but
Correct.
still power for the actual watch
time.
itself.
Yeah, absolutely, exactly. And this is the one with a
And
black
when you say
ceramic
two
bezel.
movements, you mean two barrels?
Two barrels, two hairsprings,
To everything.
Yeah, it's literally two movements in one. And this is the ceramic bezel, the black ceramic bezel with a solid dial, the silver dial with the black subdials, the Panda, which was only produced for about a year, and then they went only skeletonized.
No, so I have to say what I
really
like about it is it doesn't do the El Primero triple colored subdials. I'm not a huge fan. I like the way they look, but I don't think I would wear one. Yeah. But this one is just a plain two-tone silver black. It's a very nice looking watch.
And it's titanium. Yeah, and I got this. It came on the rubber strap, but I got the titanium bracelet for it. And it's super cool. This is one of the watches that Tim also said it's his favorite DeFi 21, and he doesn't understand, like me, why they discontinued the solid dials, because they're super
I would never wear
cool.
a skeleton.
Yeah, exactly.
But
you can't read the time. It's really nice. Really nice.
No, casual. It's so...
and it has no date. Especially
no date,
for you.
Which is so difficult to find a Zenith with no date. But the problem is Zenith doesn't make smaller watches. Like they have their beautiful, smaller chronographs, the El Primeros, and they all have a date. Which, the Cover Girl and the Poker Chip, all of them have a date. I don't know why.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so
that being said, the first watch store that I see right here is Van Cleef & Arpels.
Van Cleef & Arpels, yeah.
They have some very high horology pieces.
Indeed. I mean, as a jewelry.
It's still a jeweler originally, but they have amazing movements. And a lot of these amazing watches that do a lot of, they're called automatons, right?
Yeah.
Where they just do things. Like they have one specific watch where they have flowers on the dial, and it's a digital readout. And every hour, a different flower opens and shows you the hour. So they have some really cool movements. But of course, not for us, I think. So let's go into...
So we are just walking past this humongous Dior shop. Dior also is a watchmaker. They're doing watches, mostly off-the-shelf movements. There's not too many in-house stuff going on, but nicely decorated. Women like these. There's lots of colorful diamonds.
As we said, beautiful. Chanel has gotten into the proper watchmaking.
Yes,
Dior has not yet.
Not yet, no.
Louis Vuitton has.
Definitely.
So it'd be interesting to see where this is going to go in the fashion world. Cartier, of course, has been into it for a long time. Yeah. So it's interesting to see these, non-watch shops, so to speak, making proper watches. So Bulgari, of course, as well.
So we are now from the Fashion Dome. We went inside the Fashion Avenue, basically, and this is you see here Bulgari, Jimmy Choo. We see a Leica there on the bottom left. There's a Leica shop. They also make watches.
Oh yes, Leica does make nice German watches, right?
Yeah, indeed. And that's the M1 and M2, I think it's called, or L1, L2. I'm not 100% sure. Interesting watches. I looked at them, but I'm just not entirely sure if I really like them as what you would you buy to
one?
buy?
Yeah,
No,
exactly.
probably not. But I like the design.
I think we're pretty traditional in terms of what we buy.
They're just not there yet. I think the first movements that they make, is nice that they actually make their own movement with a partner, that they have a precision engineering.
But they already have their precision engineering done. So it's not a big leap to go from photography into watches, because
and I like a few quirks that they have built into the watches with the buttons and all of these the indicators on it. That has really some Leica-ish things, but I'm still the price is still a bit too much for me, right? For what you get, especially when you look at the movement. It's nice, but more industrial. Yeah. So, it just wasn't really getting me entirely.
So as we go through, we should say we are on the middle floor.
Yes,
we are going to talk up and down because there's 3 floors technically, the ground and first and second in this Fashion Avenue. So we are going to take one stroll down and mention everything on both sides on the 3 floors that we know of
and find noteworthy.
So because we're not going to do this 3 times, we're not athletes over here. So we have stopped in front of one of my favorite stores in this entire area, which is the
Mad Gallery
by MB&F.
Yeah, is done by Max Büsser and friends, MB&F, and Mad stands for Mechanical Art Devices. Really cool gallery.
Once again, the word automaton, right? That's exactly what they are.
You can see from various artists and you can say artists.
Yeah, artisans.
Who make any kind of different automated devices.
As we said, I want to pause right here because there's this beautiful opening and closing sunflower, I don't know what it is. And then there's a little guy with a duster. And I'm watching him and I'm thinking to myself, like, this guy could probably, with one wrong move, quickly cause 100,000 euros of damage very quickly.
I'm sure he knows what he's doing.
But it looks sketchy, I have to say.
But did you see this floor standing Louis Erard watch there? Yeah.
No, I didn't. So hold on. First and foremost, we'll take some pictures of stuff for you guys.
It's a Louis Erard design floor standing clock, not a watch. It's a clock.
So let's.
Anyhow, so this is Max Büsser is based in Dubai, I think, right?
No.
He's living in Dubai and in Switzerland.
Is he?
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah, I think,
as far as I know, he was in Switzerland. I didn't know he has anything to do with Dubai.
Oh, yeah. Siddiqui is, I think, a bit of an investor in his company as well. So, yeah.
But yeah, I see the Louis Erard floor clock, which, if you know Louis Erard in his style, it's exactly what you would think it is.
So I think this is definitely go in. These guys inside are super friendly, super happy to show you around.
And they're not expecting you to buy anything. That's the thing is you can go in, you look around, and just admire the art.
Don't feel scared because everything is expensive.
Ultimately, it's a gallery.
And also, you can buy, for example, this little, this MB&F robot that holds your watch.
Yeah.
And this little metallic robot.
Yes,
there
I know.
You can put
how much are those?
800 dirhams.
800
so
dirhams.
It's actually.
So you have something you can buy.
Something relatively affordable if you think $200 is affordable.
Yeah, well, I think for a watch stand, I think it could be much more.
Yeah, and that's super cool.
And I know exactly which one you're talking about. Yeah. All right, so what else do we see? We're
walking past Fabergé.
Of course,
I don't know if they actually have ever done.
Do they have
watches.
some eggs for sale?
Yeah, I'm sure they do.
So Carolina Herrera, Alexander McQueen, etc.
Yeah, we have some
non-watch related
Monte
stuff.
Grappa on top of us at the moment here, and the floor above us. Falke, German textiles.
A Starbucks for everyone that wants a Starbucks, of course.
Flowers, and of course the all of the luxury brands: Alexander McQueen, Carolina Herrera, Zanotti.
Yeah.
And now seeing one that we just walked over, more or less, on the ground floor is Piaget.
And as we know, I believe they have 2 stores, right? Or did they close the one that was in the main area? I don't remember. I don't recall. There used to be another Piaget. Which now I don't know if it's still open or not, but there's a Piaget store down here.
And Piaget, I must say, I'm a bit of a fan of Piaget. I think they're doing amazing things with their thin movements and their thin watches.
But they've been doing this for ages.
Yeah, I know, and they have always this kind of competition for the thinnest watch in the world, and then they've had a competition with Bulgari. And now Richard Mille came in. But
the thing is, I have to mention this Richard Mille. The new Ferrari Richard Mille collaboration, which is said to be the thinnest watch in the world. But however, you still need a key to wind it. And I believe that's cheating. Because
and I think Piaget
should be
is with you
integrated.
there. Yeah.
Exactly, because the thing is, once again, you don't need anything to wind a Piaget. You wind it yourself, right? And they integrated the crown in weird positions so that it can be super thin.
Yeah, you can pull it out a bit and
exactly. So
twist
they
it.
thought about this, and then the Richard Mille comes across and says, "We're just going to give you a key to wind it." Well, then add that key to the thickness, because that's going to add another 2 millimeters, and you're no longer the thinnest.
That's true.
Right? So
in any case, the Richard Mille for me is a bit like a credit card thing. It just looks weird.
I don't know if you remember this when everyone was trying to do car keys as credit cards. Mercedes was doing this.
Yeah, there was a time. Yeah.
And I had one of these, and the problem was it was too thick to be a credit card, so you couldn't put it in your wallet. You couldn't sit on it. So it's bigger than a key ultimately. So where are you putting it? What are you doing with it?
Car keys are just another big issue.
Yeah,
that
and they're getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Anyway,
you know the new BMW ones where you can actually park your car.
Yes, the huge one with the screen on it.
It's like a small phone.
And where are you putting it? You're carrying a phone and that, but
yeah, but then you can actually. They have, I think, a separate small key that you can take if you don't want to take the big one. But hey, I mean, this is really. I can just see chaos with the keys and stuff.
All right,
anyhow, we have then in invisible area, we have here Boucheron. Boucheron being also a watchmaker. Even though they are mostly a jeweler, yeah. But they have some nice watches. Again, I don't think they make their own movements or anymore, but they do definitely really nice cases and dials. So there's something to be had there. There's another Dior shop here on top. But that's, I think, the
perfumery,
shop.
Yes. Same with the Chanel as well.
Coquillion, then you have Mancera, and all of these specialized perfume shops.
2 Diors next to each other, actually, we should say.
Yeah.
One is Dior, one's Christian Dior.
Yeah, correct. One is this, the Gris Dior,
yes,
I think, where you get the special.
Exactly. Underneath, we have Loewe.
It's Italian.
Yeah, I cannot. I thought it sounds very German. We
actually had a German high-end hi-fi and TV company called Loewe, written exactly the same.
Really?
If you don't use the umlaut, Loewe, and that was really, really beautiful. They have absolutely stunning designs. They were like Germany's Sony, very, very high-tech, very sophisticated designs, and eventually I think. I don't know what happened to them, but they are gone. Loewe is still there.
Yeah.
Though.
So Moncler, Miu Miu. But anyway, one of your favorites.
Yeah, Forêt La Page.
Which I honestly haven't really considered until Ralph introduced me to. I saw his watch roll. He has a...
Yes, I have a watch roll from them. Yeah, I have the green watch roll from Forêt La Page. I really like the history. They are super quirky, super fun. If you look at their website, they don't take themselves too serious. Lovely brand. Cool designs. They are around for hundreds of years, and they have this knight and the knight's armor because they consider themselves the armors or the armory of passion or whatever. I think.
And they had a really cool little. The shape of the little pouches are gun shaped because apparently they used to manufacture guns.
They used to make rifles, for all the big kings and aristocracy in Europe.
Just super cool. I learned something.
Manufacture super cool ones.
So, all right. Well, we have 2, 3.
We have a big boutique.
So I'm, first and foremost, what happened to Breitling?
It's still there.
It's still there. Okay, it's 2 more down.
Yeah,
sorry.
Coming up.
The problem, guys, is that everything keeps closing and moving and
getting bigger or smaller.
Bigger, smaller, exactly. So Breitling got smaller.
Yeah, but
Ulysse Nardin also got smaller. If you remember, there used to be a huge Ulysse Nardin, which was where the Panerai is now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I always wondered how on earth Ulysse Nardin can afford such a massive spot in the main part of the mall. But of course, they have been relocated to the depths of
the Fashion Avenue. And Ulysse Nardin, I think they make some fantastic watches. Not really to my design liking.
The Freak? You don't like the Freak? You don't want something called the Freak?
I like quirky watches, but the Freak, for whatever reason, doesn't do it for me. I think they have some divers that I would wear, but it's not necessarily top of mind. So
Khaled, by the way, from Timepiece 360, Khaled, I always mispronounce his name apparently. Khaled. He was a big fan of Ulysse Nardin, and he used to be he used to show me these back in 2015 when I had no interest in, basically anything
aside
from
the I think for very little money one
and he
time.
kept trying to show me how cool it was, and of course, really being naive, I wasn't listening. But he does know his stuff.
Now they have excellent watches. They're now independent, together with Gérard Perregaux. They were part of the Kering Group and now had a management buyout, so they are now independent.
So next door we have a heavy hitter. I would say the heaviest hitter of watch.
How many boutiques does this brand have in the world?
I do not know.
How many points of sale? I think 8. I'm not so sure. Maybe 10 max. And one of them we are standing in front of.
What about RM, by the way? And this is not RM. We've mentioned RM.
RM has also only a couple of boutiques, and they only sell in boutiques, right? I think.
And the boutique we're talking about is, of course, Journe.
François Paul.
Yes. And they have some watches. Last time I came here, there was only, of course, they're exhibition only.
Yeah.
I don't think there's much to buy here, but last time I came, there's 4 watches in the entire store, and now there is about, I would say, 10.
And one thing we mentioned in the previous episode about the CPO, the Rolex CPO, FP Journe started that, more or less. I mean, one of the first.
Really?
Who actually said, yep, you can actually trade in your watches, and we will completely rework it, service it, refurbish it, and then sell it again to somebody else. So you can trade it in.
That's super cool. We're looking at 4 in a selection of what, Elegante.
That's all Elegantes. Yeah, that was developed.
I like them. They're cool.
That was developed for women originally from FP Journe, and because women complained that they don't want to wind watches, set watches, all of this stuff. I mean, that was the feedback. Female collectors have become way more sophisticated than when this watch was probably designed. Nowadays, you have plenty of women who actually love mechanical watches. But he, at that time, said, okay, I make a watch for you. And I create a quartz movement. FP Journe, one of his first few watches was actually a quartz watch. Can you imagine? And that quartz watch has a small little weight that you can see through the open dial. And this little weight swings around and then creates a small electrical impulse that shows the watch that it's being worn. So it actually moves the hands to show the time. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, to save power, it just rests the hands and the hands don't move. But the watch still keeps time until you pick it up again.
And then it shows the time again. I believe Longines does this with
there are a few power-saving watches that do that. Mm-hmm. Like even G-Shocks can switch off the display, right?
True. They go to resting position.
This watch battery usually will last about 8 to 10 years or something. And I don't even know if there was yet any FP Journe Elegante that needed a battery change, because I think there's only 10 years old. I don't know. So it lasts for a very, very long time between battery changes. It was really good.
All right. And what is this one? Any idea?
I have no idea.
Okay, it's a round FP Journe with a large date complication, a Reserve de Marché, a moon phase, and a running seconds, from what I can tell, in yellow gold.
And isn't that, I think it is a FP Journe who actually shows the power reserve. When it's full, it's 0, and then it goes down to show the hours that it actually ran without being one. Yeah, I think it's the other way around. Then other people show that power reserve. Yep. If I'm not mistaken, I think it's FP Journe that started that, saying this is the last time, or this is how long the watch ran autonomously without wearing it or whatever, not being fully charged. But FP Journe, and also lovely people inside. You can always pop in for a chat. They love to talk to people who are interested in the brand or in watches in general, even though they can't sell you anything, most likely. They're still happy to have a chat. Oh, and then here another perfumery area. Here I see the Parfum de Marly, Mansell.
I don't know much about perfumes.
Nice things. Anyway.
But we have the big stores. So we're down at the very end of the Fashion Avenue now. Yeah. And we have Gucci, Prada, Saint Laurent, Dolce & Gabbana,
Tom Ford,
Hermes, Tom Ford.
Bottega Veneta. All of them have 3-floor stores, boutiques that are humongous in size. So
they're very large. Yeah. And then we also have Breitling, which
we do have
surprisingly, Breitling used to have a very large boutique in the middle of the watch area, but they have also been relocated to the depths. But this is a fairly large store still.
It's a beautiful store. I think in this new design that Breitling has introduced everywhere with bicycles, surfboards, and all of the stuff on the wall, and motorcycles.
Yeah.
Really, really cool design. It's always nice to go inside.
Yeah.
And of course, what I like about Breitling is they have such a good, broad offering. There's a lot to see, right? And,
yes, they do. They do.
Different lines that they have. Really nice watches.
And they're generally always available, which is quite nice.
And one of the things, I don't know if I told you that, but my first luxury watch, I didn't buy a Rolex because I found it too flimsy at the time. I bought a Breitling.
So this is really funny that you mentioned this, because I also didn't buy a Rolex because I also felt that they were flimsy. And I bought, which is so strange to think, I bought the Tag Heuer Aqua Racer, which at the time already had solid end links, solid bracelet, an excellent clasp, and of course it was a base atom movement. But
at the time it was,
it was what?
We didn't know.
At the time it was about half the price of the Rolex, because this was back when Rolexes were available. But it felt as a much nicer watch.
Yeah, it's strange to see. But on the other hand, I think Breitling is on a good trajectory. I'm not a fan of the current version Super Ocean. I like the old one much better. The old versions of it. I think the Super Ocean for me is a bit like the Corvette. Every time there's a new generation, it looks different.
It does.
And it's not like a 911, right? Like
where
the Submariner or something.
Slowly.
It just,
I don't know if I've always kind of felt blah about the Super Oceans. I like the previous one with the weird bracelet and that huge bezel that overhangs the case itself, in the blue especially. Yeah, and these new ones are, of course, very different.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. This lollipop hand, our minute hand is weird for me.
I'm not a fan. I wouldn't buy one, is what it comes down to.
Yeah.
But I'm not against them either.
Also, I think for $5,000, I know we have to have this discussion again with the in-house movement, yes or no. But I feel for $5,000 or $6,000, if I just want something more than a chronometer spec ETA movement, because I just feel it's, for that money, I want something more exclusive.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I feel that's the threshold for me where I want something a bit more. 38 hours.
I'm looking at it in the sense
on.
that at $3,000, you can already have an in-house movement from Tudor.
Yeah, absolutely.
So at 5K,
or less from Nomos, for example.
At Nomos, exactly. At 2K, you're at in-house movement territory. So
and really nice ones.
And this is kind of my issue as well. Is come on,
Yeah. I mean, there are benefits to these ETA movements.
Servicing, of course, and things like this.
You will always get spare parts for these pieces everywhere for the next 150 years. But for me, I think I also like to not wear a watch for 1 or 2 days and then pick it up again without having to set it. So 70 hours power reserve, I think it's like the 3 days is a sweet spot. That's why I think everybody goes there.
And I think a lot of people, at least me, for instance, I had this very strange thing where I don't complain. I say I don't care about power reserve. However, this morning, one of the reasons I picked up the Sub was because it was ticking.
Yes.
It's out of pure laziness, right? Everything else was dead. Do I want to wind and set anything? No. Let's just go for that. But, all right. So we're standing here outside Cartier, which we were in just a moment ago. As Ralph mentioned, we're getting some bracelet colors changed for my wife's Trinity cord bracelet, which if you don't know, if you have one of these bracelets, they're one of the cord bracelets. So they're made out of just a cloth bracelet that technically it's silk, has 3 small rings on it, one white gold, yellow gold, and rose gold. They're about $500 to, I think actually more now, $700, I think now. They used to be $500. But one of the reasons my wife was always adamantly against it, she said, it's going to get dirty, and then this cord, and then you could throw the whole thing. Well, turns out Cartier, in their infinite wisdom, allow you to, for free, go into any Cartier store and swap out these cords at any time for any color, and they have 100 colors to choose from.
As often as you like?
And as often as you like. So my wife generally swaps them about once a month. So this is kind of, it's nice. You go for different colors. So this time she chose, what was it, orange? I think she went for. So it is kind of nice, and it's kind of neat. And I was thinking about it, like, imagine how much money they make from this, right? You have a cheap item that gets people in the door. Cheap, quote unquote, for Cartier, right? 2,500 dirhams. You get in the door, to change your strap.
You always,
and then you start looking around.
Of course.
And
as
soon as
see something,
the hardest part for any of these brands is to get the customer back in the door.
Yeah.
And by doing this free stuff, it's easy.
Yeah. And it's such a nice thing to do. I think it's just it shows so, especially from a brand that can be a bit, sometimes you feel a bit snobbish. This is actually very nice.
It's
that you
cool.
get this, right?
It is. So anyway, we were in there. What watches did we see? What did we like?
So I personally am still a fan of the Cartier Santos, the big one, but I'm also not entirely sure about it.
I was the same way. I was not sure for a long time until I finally pulled the trigger and I bought it and I love it. I absolutely love it.
I saw the Ballon Bleu with a coworker many, many years ago, and then decided that this is a really beautiful watch for my wife. Mm-hmm. So we got her one with a pink dial, I think 33 millimeters or something. And that's lovely. I must admit that my wife wears it basically more casually, not really for anything super nice. Maybe it's because of the color or so, but it's a lovely watch, automatic movement, and she likes it. So these are the two that I particularly like. I am not the biggest fan of the tank, but I understand its significance.
I like significance.
The tank. I respect it.
We'll talk about that in a second. No, I like a lot of the variants of the tanks. The Francois, not Francois. Francois Paul Journe is who I was thinking of, but the tank Francais. I don't speak French.
Français.
I can't pretend.
François.
Français.
Françoise. American.
The American. There were some nice ones. But going back to the tank, so of course I got into Cartier because my wife one day came home and said, I want this Cartier tank. First time she'd ever once shown interest in a watch voluntarily.
Oh, right.
Because she had a couple of Omegas up until that point, and it was always me showing, why don't you try this on, see if you like it, we'll buy it if you like it. And she got the Omega Constellation, the small 24 millimeter one. And then after that, she hated it. She hated it in pictures. And then she went into the store and she fell in love with it. It was kind of me dragging her into the store. She had the Aquaterra before that, which she never wore. But then she shows me a picture of this and she says, I want to sell the Omega and I want to buy this. And I said, no need to sell the Omega. Let's keep the Omega, because if I'm going to sell it, I'm going to lose half the value immediately. Because these ladies' watches, they don't hold their value as well as the men's.
Yeah, I think it's also ladies don't actually even consider buying pre-owned.
That could also be it.
That's something that is probably not yet even in their mind, that these kind of things could be available.
Because it's less availability as well, right? You go to Timepiece 360, I would say 95% of their watches are men's.
For a reason, because they're not selling the female watches. But I think it's
also
coming
because there's
slowly.
No supply.
Yeah.
So the women, they're not selling their watches. They're keeping them.
Because they're
less fickle than the men, which we keep flipping watches.
Either that, they just wear the watches until they break, or don't even set them sometimes, right? On the other hand, maybe if they don't wear them, they just put them in a drawer. They don't even think that this could have value for anybody else.
So my wife bought the tank, and then I walked into, she said, it was a black leather strap. She wanted a different color. And then she said, so I went in for Christmas one year, and I bought her a pink strap for Cartier.
Right.
And when I called Cartier and asked about straps, they basically had a bunch of swatches, of leather, and said, choose your color, whatever you want, we'll make it for you custom.
Correct.
And this was all for $150.
That's nice.
Without the buckle. So at that point I was like, wow, Cartier really is in the future of what watch people want. Because no one else does this.
It's so individual, right? Because you're basically really customizing a bit your watch, right? And then
so this is, I really
really nice.
grew to like Cartier for this. My wife, of course, has since bought the Trinity bracelet, the Journe Clou, the Love Bangle, and a few others. Yeah. So, she really is a Cartier person. And then that kind of drew me in, and then I started looking at the Santos.
And if you look at the history of Cartier, of how many Tsars in Russia and Maharajas in India they have delivered to over the years.
So crazy.
Where all the wealth of the world was concentrated at the time. They have such a history.
There's this new book, right? So it's a relatively new book, came out a couple of years ago. It was written by one of the great-granddaughters of Jean-Jacques Cartier, I believe it was. So basically, it was great-granddaughter, I think.
Yeah.
And she was cleaning through the attic and found a bunch, like trolleys, cases full of notes.
Right.
And so she compiled a book of the Cartiers. I believe it's called the Cartiers.
Okay.
And she compiled this book of all of the history of Cartier. So I'm in the middle of reading this as we speak.
All right, interesting. I want to borrow that from you then.
Absolutely.
I want to read
It's my
that.
wife's technically. You'll have to ask her.
All right, I will. But the thing is, I think that when you see of how actually this came to be in the old times when, let's say, one of the Maharajas in India said, I want to have a specific jewelry piece. And there was this whole consultation about what he wanted because this was all custom made for them.
But they still do this to this day. It's the CPCP, the Cartier Paris Collection Privé, CPCP. They still allow certain people, they will, I think, hit you up. I don't think you ask. They come to you.
You can.
And Waco did this recently. He had a video about it.
Yeah,
he made a Cartier crash, and they asked, what do you want on it? He said he wanted a blue dial platinum Cartier crash with Lume, which why you would need Lume on but that's kind of the point, is they are willing to do whatever you want if you are one of those levels of clients.
You know, a friend of mine has the Cartier Pasha from the Arab Watch Guide. And Hassan from Arab Watch Guide is this, he has, not only the contacts, but also he's a big guy of customizing or doing individual pieces for the Arab Watch Guide, right? So they make special limited editions for their club. And they have made a Cartier Pasha with a dial in the Cartier red, which they have actually never done for any of their own watches.
Which is strange, right? Because their red is so iconic, but their products don't have the red.
I don't like particularly the design of the Pasha, the case, but if you see that watch in person, it's beautiful, right? They have done another cooperation, limited edition with Piaget, the Polo S chronograph, beautiful with a salmon dial and the green rubber strap. And you think, how can that look good? And I saw some renders before, and I thought, I'm not so sure, right? When he designed it, but his taste is really, really good because when you see it in person, it's stunning. So
and once again, going back,
we have to get him on the podcast one day.
Yes, it would be nice.
So what I wanted to say is we just passed the Hermes store, and it's not even 12 o'clock in the morning, and the Hermes store has already a threefold
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 people in line.
And
which is at 11 in the morning.
Incredible.
Interesting.
Yeah, interesting. And
so I would hate to see what this line looks like on a Saturday at 7 p.m.
Yeah.
All right.
Exactly.
So now we have migrated to the home of, I think, I would say my favorite watchmaker. Would you say?
For me? I don't know if it's my favorite one.
Rolex,
I really like it. It's one of my favorites. I wouldn't say it's my favorite.
I would say I'm a Rolex fanboy through and through.
I really enjoy Rolex and Tudor. Yeah, I think together they would probably be on the top because Tudor is as well in my top list of watchmakers.
So this is a very nice shop. It has 3 floors, and in one of the floors they have a very nice little display room where they show you the thematic, whatever theme they have for that time frame. So when they opened, they started with the Sea Dweller theme.
Right, yes.
And they had a big, kind of almost a cinema style display of what's going on with the sea dwellers, the undersea kind of exploration, and how it all came to be and things like that. So it's quite nice.
It is really nice. I think every few months they change the theme, and but this is I think a place where you have to be invited to. I don't know if you just
no. I walked in. Once again, I think they invite you in.
One floor for the
but you have to kind of show interest in what it is,
right,
in the history, and then when you do that, they will say, "Why don't you come and see our blank exhibition?"
But anyhow, if you are in Dubai and you visit the Dubai Mall, make sure that you actually go to the end of the Fashion Avenue and go and get into that Rolex store, because it is the biggest Rolex boutique in the world. And it's always worth a visit. And even if you don't go to the restrooms that are underneath in the rotunda here, which put every 5-star hotel restrooms to shame, just go and wash your hands.
Exactly, just for fun.
Even that is an experience, because you've never had such a luxury environment in a mall. You cannot, I mean, this is for me as a European, is mind-blowing.
Yeah.
That is a bloody washrooms in a mall, and they are just like, amazing. Everything is made of marble and gold and fantastic.
So,
okay.
All right. Well,
what do we have? Bottega Veneta and Prada and Tom Ford. They don't really make things.
I think.
Yeah.
Is there anything else we're missing?
I just need to go there, but when we end. But I think
to where there?
Mansera, I have to try one of the things that I wanna smell on.
All right.
But that's one of the perfumes I wanted to try. Yeah, but that's it basically. I think we have seen all the watch shops.
Almost all. There's a few, random ones that we haven't looked at.
There's another Chanel, but I don't know if they have actually watches. I didn't even know that.
No, that Chanel is no watches. I think all the top 4 here mostly is the perfumeries.
What I haven't seen yet, and I've seen all of these Chanel watches usually online mostly, especially these
not
rare
in the boutiques,
pieces. Yeah, because I've never actually set foot in a Chanel boutique.
Neither have I. No. I've ordered once online. That was the only thing for my wife for a gift. And they don't do online, and this was during COVID, and I called the store, and they sent out apparently special just for me.
Oh.
Which was nice. It was, because the malls were closed.
Karl Lagerfeld came and said, "Here's your stuff."
Yeah, exactly. Right. He arrived via a black Hyundai van.
He was still alive during the pandemic, right?
Yes, he was.
Yeah. Oh.
So anyway, all right. So we'll leave you at that. Come visit if you haven't seen it. Maybe one of these days we'll do one of the Mall of the Emirates as well, because those are, of course, the 2 big ones. But or maybe in Abu Dhabi we have the Galleria, which is also a fantastic watch shop place.
Absolutely.
So
so that was our mall walk, exactly.
I enjoy it. Get some exercise.
And not only do you exercise because it's vast, but also it's so nice that it's daylight here, right? You have
skylight, so you're kind of
even in the summer everything is air conditioned, of course, obviously, and it's a lovely walk that you're feeling it outside to a certain extent, while having all the benefits of seeing everything nicely. All right. Thank you very much. So
once again, follow us on Instagram at Lume Plotters, like, subscribe, etc., as they all say. And we will see you guys next week with another regularly scheduled episode on Tuesday.
Exactly. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
See you soon.